With Le Mans behind us, we cross the channel and race at a staple of British motorsport. Brands Hatch is practically the antithesis of the French track with its short straights, tight confines, and twisty nature. With this being the only British round this season, who gets to claim the home win? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. I am Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Bobbert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Brands Hatch was once widely known on the world stage, but has since become more of a local spot. Let's get a better look at it with our track guide. Welcome to Brands Hatch. When popular British racing circuits get listed, this track just to the southeast of London often finds itself near the top. The extensive history of the venue has meant that many famous names in racing have ran laps here. But the stats make it sound deceptively simple, with the Grand Prix and Indy course having 9 and 6 turns respectively. Laps might be short, but they're also fast, and the corners are often a challenge to get right. As you'd expect, that means passing is quite difficult, with most drivers leaning towards sending one up the inside at Druids. You might occasionally see overtakes into the first corner, Paddock Hill Bend, but the blind apex and gigantic drop in elevation make that an errand for only the brave. Many of the corner names pay tribute to famous British drivers from the past decades, such as Hill, Surtees, Sterling, and Clark. In fact, the fame extends beyond the drivers, but to the cars as well, with this place seeing everything from Formula One to Formula Ford, touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and even rallycross. It's a gorgeously scenic venue where lush trees envelop the back half of the course, while the front half is mostly encapsulated inside a natural amphitheater. This makes it extremely popular with race fans who can see a majority of the circuit from many seating positions. With a great location near a major metropolitan hub, a spectator-friendly layout, and an experience that challenges drivers, you can see why this place remains abuzz with racing to this day. Well, not that far from London. This place is popular with the British fans, and you can see why with how challenging it is, Joey.
I think it doesn't matter if you're driving an F1 car, a vintage car, or a touring car around Brands Hatch. It's probably one of the favorites of all of the British racing circuits. 9 turns in length, 2.3 miles or 3.7 kilometers, depending on which units you're looking at. And a very intimidating turn number 1 that pretty much falls off the earth as you drive up to it, and a good passing opportunity headed into Druids, also known as turn 2. And pretty interesting with all of the elevation change around this entire circuit. The front half, pretty straightforward, a couple passing opportunities, but once you get to the back half of the racetrack, it is incredibly narrow, and the best way I can describe it is pretty much a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it. You are up and down and over so many blind crests through there. But now we haven't started the roller coaster ride that is the championship, except for one round. And Nacho Gaspar took that win over Javier Chavez, who certainly proved himself to be quite fast. Now, it doesn't look like he is here today, so we won't be seeing him back that up. But Jorge Nieva is back as usual, so he is going to get another shot at trying to see if he can get that win, but he was just shy of taking a second one before as he finished in third last round. Topi Kortenemi winding up in fourth. Usually a very quick driver himself, but I'm not sure if he's going to be there today either, unfortunately. Seb Tixier, former champion in this series, wound up with a 6. We'll see what happens with him here in this second round. We also have an F2 standings. Why don't we go over that, Joey?
And since it has been just the Le Mans round, like you were mentioning, it is Bjorn Ackerman, pretty much how they finished leading this F2 Drivers' Championship. Jan Steven chasing him. Alejandro Sanchez, that's a new name that I haven't been too familiar with here in the Lotus 49 cars, but you look through the rest, Timothy Porter here in 5th place, and a few other very familiar names that I see. Terry Traumhauser, also Mats Linden, but we were mentioning it, only one round done so far. We'll have to see how it takes shape.
Now it can be a little bit more mixed up with the Nations Cup, and Spain is leading that, which they did last year, really dominated. So not too shocking to see them back in it ahead of Finland and the United States. Singapore usually is scored by either Gary Ho or Seb Tixier as the main fast drivers that have been contributing to that one from there on down. Obviously, gets a little bit tighter between all the various countries, but watch out for Spain because they are looking like they're going to be quick again this season with 2 out of the top 3 in the F1 points hailing from that country. Why don't we go over the race details before we head off to the qualifying as well?
Round 2 of 12 here in this season, 24 laps around the Brands Hatch circuit. Open setups as always, and if you want to get into this series, go join the forums. They love to get everybody up to speed and share those setups. No spare cars, so if you get any damage, you're going to have to live with it. Drive-through penalty at 17x, disqualification at 25x, and there are plenty of opportunities to run off track here. But Joe, we were talking about it pre-race. There is a ton of entries. Got to be careful who you're going to bang wheels with.
Yeah, and it's a short track, it's a narrow track, so it'll be tricky out there trying to navigate not just all the drivers that you're racing for position, but don't forget we will probably get some lap traffic, quite a bit of it, if I have any experience to go by here, as the number 6 of Jorge Nieva actually is on the provisional pole, and that's after guys like Tixier and Trangrade have set their times, but it's Zamaloa who is currently in the second position. Not what I expected. And in fact, he's got the highest I rating as well. He must have earned that recently. I don't remember him being that high up in the in the I rating order.
You're right, because here in the strength of field race, how we look at the car numbers is based off of the I rating, and he's rocking the number 1 plate as we watch Jorge Nieva in the number 6 plate, our current provisional pole sitter. But you're right, Joe. Zamaloa, a very impressive lap time, only a 10th off of Jorge, let's say, but John Olsen actually just sneaks it away to the top.
And Nieva takes it back briefly, but Zamaloa is now ahead by 16 thousandths of a second. It is looking extremely tight. Togo Hisada now gets a much better second lap. His first one was poor and nowhere, but the second one is good enough to be on the top spot. Gary Ho moves himself into 7th. Tixier is in 6th. It is constantly changing out there as they cross the line.
Watch Seb's time right here. I think this is going to be a good one. 123.356 up for the front row provisionally so far.
Looks like he's back to qualifying out there. I know he has the number 23, but remember, former champion, and he's started a new account. So he kind of started from scratch and has been re-earning all his I rating. And it's been fascinating to watch. Seems like he's been having fun in the process. Number 43. This is Bjorn Ackerman, currently on his second lap. This is down into Sterling. A lot of banking in that corner. And then it's up to Clark Curve here in a moment as he gets ready to enter this sort of off-camber, long right-hander with a crest right in the middle. I'm showing him not improving on this lap, but sometimes our timing and scoring isn't accurate on that, and it is a 25-4, so he improves slightly up to 25th position.
We got to remember that Bjorn Ackerman is leading that F2 championship with his result there from Le Mans. Watch Doug Cloud come across the start-finish line. He does improve his lap time as well, but looks like he's going to jump up to 33rd. Joe, a couple notables. I know we have a minute and a half left, but I don't see Jack David Spickett qualifying at all. I can't say I'm surprised that Jason Clapper isn't out on track, but with 40-plus cars, can you imagine how busy that's going to be going through the entire pack?
Yeah, it's going to be frantic. And here is our starting order for this race with pretty much everybody having set a time except Andrew Ang. Togo Hisada is on the pole with Seb Tixier starting next to him. That's going to be fun to watch between those two, as Oye Zamaloa will start in third and Jorge Nieva will be P4. I think it's a matter of time before we see that second win for Jorge. Ove Trangerade will start from fifth, and John Olsen is looking fast today himself, so watch out for him from sixth position. Xavier Sanchez, one of the competitors for the championship last season, will start from seventh. Gary Ho will be P8, and Laust Olsen ninth, as Leo Sequeiro will start in 10th.
Then in 11th, we have Steve Morris in the number 19. Gary Quillen lined up next to him. Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado is going to be starting 13th in the number 13 car. Then you have Daniel Perez Hoya starting 14th. Ricardo Ruiz in 15th. Matthew Maudsley 16th. Ray Oliver starting 17th. Emerson Gaudin in 18th. Eduardo Sobrevela in 19th. And Tobias Rohner in 20th.
Matt McRae starts in 21st. Jana Lehman in at 22nd. Then you've got Robert Plumley in P23. Rolly Wallbank starts 24th. And Bjorn Ackerman wound up 25th, as we mentioned earlier. Terry Traumhauser will start in the 26th spot. And then you've got Tobias Harnvey on the inside of the next row. He'll be flanked by Jonathan Jordan. And Matthew Keene starts 29th. 30th is rounded out by Michael Grissinger.
Still have a handful down here. Andres Bruno in 31st, Shady Ahmad 32nd, Doug Cloud, and then followed by Sandeep Banerjee in 34th, Jan Steven in 35th, Andrew Eng, Drazen Carr in 37th, Cam Porter 38th, Timothy Porter in 39th, Jack David Spickett in 40th, and just a few more here, Jason Clapper, Juan Rodriguez, Tom Holland, and Ian Blankensop.
So it's a cool morning out here right now, a little bit just before 9:30 in the morning here, British virtual time, as we've got 68 degrees Fahrenheit on the track temperature and about 20 Celsius for the metric, folks. So pretty cool, frankly, and a car that certainly takes some time to get those tires up to temperature. They're going to have to be careful into some of these corners.
You called it, especially turns 1 and 2. I mentioned the track just completely falls away from the driver in turn 1. You have to be extremely careful every single lap. You put full fuel on the car, cold tires, it just adds more variables.
I do enjoy the way that they've gotten so much better with this tire model. When I started iRacing about 13 years ago, the cold tires gave better grip no matter what. Now it's more like real life, where you need to get those things up to temperature or you're going to be understeering into those corners, as we've just about got everybody out there. I think Quellen, yeah, there he is. He's now out on the track, and we looks like we do indeed have pretty much everybody out there. So the lights are up, the engines start to rev, and the green flag is out, as Seb Tixier has got a pretty good start, but he's on the outside coming up into Paddock Hill Bend. Can he do it the long way around? He's got a nose ahead. He's got a magnificent start, but he bobbles, and he's going to lose that lead right back to Hisada.
Hisada now down on the inside lane, as we're too wide for third place between Zamaloa and Jorge Nieva. Look at all of the cars stream down the hill to turn 3.
Oh, McRae, I think, got turned around in the middle of the pack. We had about 5 or 6 cars that got collected in that one, but it looks like most of them were able to avoid it after that kind of shuffled off to the side. Hisada still leads Tixier. Zamaloa was in third, with Nieva trailing behind off the podium. We're on board with Laust Olsen right now, sitting in 8th position. He's being chased by Ho.
Good start for Laust, already up a spot. Ooh, a little bit tricky there, and now he's got Gary Ho to the inside. That was a mistake from Laust Olsen, and you see it there. I know the camera's a little frozen, but definitely a mistake from Laust.
Yeah, that's a typical face from him when things get intense, but they're going to go side by side through Sheen, and somehow they get through it. Ho doesn't lose the position, but this is backing them up behind them. Maurice, Squero, Salgado are all eager to try and take this away.
And now Gary Ho loses all sorts of momentum, still side by side. They might even take it 3 wide. Now Gary Ho has contact with Steve Morris coming out of the final turn.
Oh, and they're both off to the side. I think they didn't get too bad a damage, it looks like, and they'll get going, but they lose a lot of track position at a place where you really need that track position. Look at the battle behind Olsen, though. Holy cow, it is a traffic jam. That's Hoya, Ruiz, Oliver, all in it.
Yeah, pick one because there's about 10 cars and they're 2x2. It almost looks like a pace lap, but they're doing about 100 miles an hour plus, depending on where you are on this racetrack. And this is coming out of turn number 2, looking at Cam Porter. This is the red car with the checkered on the side.
Oh, Runer unfortunately goes off the track. He went a little deep there into Surtees, so he'll fall back. Thankfully didn't hurt anything as we jump on board with Cam. And there's the new setup at the new place for him, like the decorations. But let's see how he does in terms of performance, though, as he works his way down Pilgrim's Drop.
I gotta admit, Joe, that wheel, that rally wheel, is super ultra cool. That's just like a classic rally wheel. I don't know if it's just a replica or what it is, cut in half, but I'm loving it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it looks like a replica to me. I don't think it's the real thing,
yes.
But very, very cool, along with the steering wheel on the wall as it heads down through Sterling. Where is he right now out on track, actually? He is in 31st, chasing Rodriguez, it appears.
The other one that I wanted to mention, I noticed in qualifying, he didn't qualify. Jack David Spickett, he's up to 21st position already. So we've only completed, 2.5 laps, and he's up nearly 20 spots.
I love in the pre-races, they were gritting. Jack said, I'm a bit new to this car. How in the world do I add understeer? And Rolly Wallbank answered, turn the wheel less.
Yeah, use your right foot a little bit less, Jack.
And to clarify, this community is usually extremely helpful, and someone did give him a set to help out. They're all very friendly here, but just the sarcasm definitely made me giggle as we come down into Hawthorne once again. This is where things get extremely single file unless you go off the track like Harnvey just did.
Yeah, just took too much speed into that sweeping corner, and look at the attack that Jack David Spickett is on. This is that back half of the racetrack. It's narrow all the way around this place, but with the elevation and the sweeping corners, it's crazy how much speed you carry into every single turn.
And this car does carry a decent amount of cornering speed, but it's on the straightaways. It's an absolute rocket ship with no weight to the car, very little drag, and of course, a pretty powerful engine for its power to weight ratio. Cloud is on it. He's going to try and go for the move on JDS. Looks down to the inside into Paddock Hill Bend, and it looks like he's got the job done.
And the number 7's going to move his way up into that 19th spot. Continue the charge because we're only on lap 4 of 24. I can't wait to see where JDS is going to end up this race.
And apologies, that was JDS making the move on Cloud, getting up into that 19th position. So, it looks like Sandeep Banerjee now had a problem coming out of Druids and is getting the car turned around as well. It's been messy, but thankfully I don't think we've seen many huge pileups up to this point. However, that will mean that we're going to see traffic quite early.
Yeah, now that I think of it, it always plays a factor here in the Lotus 49 races, but I'm still seeing 40 cars on track right now, Joe, and yeah, only doing 1 minute and 23 seconds per lap. Bet you we're going to run into them pretty soon.
No doubt they have a few more laps, but we're on board with Tixier. Is he waiting for that moment? Does he think that he'll need Togo Hisada to be slowed up here to try and get an overtake opportunity? Or is he fast enough that he can maybe get his nose in somewhere? I'm sure Togo's going to be playing hard defense as soon as he feels vulnerable.
Togo is one of the fastest cars, one of the fastest drivers all the time. I mean, he's 2-time series champ for a reason. Seb Tixier, also one of the most talented drivers on the racetrack. They've kind of stretched it out a little bit by about a second over Zamaloa. So I wonder if they're going to continue this or if they're going to play a little bit of cat and mouse and argue for the lead.
Yeah, both of them are 2-time champions, actually. So pretty evenly matched amongst each other. Very cool to see them go against each other once again. It used to be the two that were racing rivals for quite some time. And as they come through the back half of the field, Zamaloa back behind them, as you mentioned, is just keeping watch. He's keeping them within range if they do start to battle. And he could also insert himself into the equation. Looks like they still have, it's still quite a ways before they get to that traffic. Right now, the back of the field is coming along the Cooper Straight, and we're just coming onto the main straight.
And to talk a little bit more about this rivalry, if you will, maybe not a rivalry, but a disagreement on who's faster out on the track, it's cool to see Seb Tixier qualifying again because we're getting this battle with him and Togo.
Absolutely. And coming up into Druids, he's getting a little closer, it looks like to me. Oh, behind them, I think we have a change for position for fourth. Nieva and Trangrade are going to swap around. Ove gets Jorge up into Druids and now sets his sights on the podium.
Trangrade was kind of pushing Jorge along a little bit, and usually we say Trangrade really come in on the last half of the race. If he's already making passes and only about a half a second away from that lead battle, keep an eye on the number 3 as well.
And Tixier's got the lead. It was a poor exit out of Surtees by Hisada, and that was just absolutely snatched up by the number 23. Did not wait. Let's take a look at how it happened. I just caught the tail end of it, so let's see what started. Oh, he was already attacking on the inside into the corner.
Joe, if we watch it again just a little bit further back, I actually think Togo Hisada missed his brake marker going in there, and that's what allowed Tixier up the inside. And then, as you called it, it was just a drag race from there.
That was brave stuff coming in on the outside through Hawthorne. That is a very fast corner. Even in this car, you're doing a high rate of knots, and there's not much runoff to the outside. So kudos to Seb to stick that one out. But this has brought Oye into the mix now.
I've always thought that Togo Hisada goes through different phases depending on where the race is. This is still early. I wonder if he's still kind of getting his feet underneath him, maybe saving the tires a little bit too at this point.
Yeah, we can probably go back live to this trio still nose to tail now with Trangrade trying to play catch up. He might get the chance if they keep battling here. And currently they're coming through Pilgrim's Drop once again, where it happened before, as our director seems to really like this There we go. Now we're coming back live as we get back to the racing right now. And that was a technical glitch, so apologies there to the audience on that one. But it looks like we got great racing action to follow now here as they go through Sterling. Seb Tixier is ahead of Hisada. Can he run away? Was he actually faster than Togo, or are they just evenly matched and Togo left him an opening?
Both of the cars, both of our leaders started on the front row, so even though they've swapped positions on the racetrack, there's not much raw speed difference between the two. I think it's going to come down to those variable factors, whether that's going to be a mistake from one of the drivers or the point that we talked about earlier, that lapped traffic.
That's a good point. So let's see. Bjorn Ackerman is now the one that they're trying to play catch up to. We've lost Steve Morris, Robert Plumley, and Rolly Wallbank up to now. They are still taking repairs, so we could see them return to the track. Here is JDS in that number 7 with the impressive climb as the 25 of Ruiz is off course with the 14 of Oliver. I'm going to guess these two are related in some fashion.
I think so. This is going up into turn number 2. A good passing opportunity. Oh no, Ricardo Ruiz in the number 25 had already spun. And Joe, that's an area of the racetrack when you're coming up to that turn, you really can't see around it.
A 14 almost collected somebody there as they had to sneak around the outside a couple somebodies, unfortunately. And it looks like that was the car of Tobias Rohner, who's had a lot of adventures today. He'll keep 15th after just narrowly escaping becoming part of the accident, as Jorge Nieva is now currently in 5th position after being overtaken by Ove Trangrade. So he's lost a little bit since the start, not a great amount, but I'm sure he's not going to be satisfied with this 5th.
Looking at the raw pace, right? Seb Tixier just threw down a 123.6. Togo Hisada is still hot on the heels. Zamaloa fell off just a little bit. I wonder if this is the top two starting to stretch themselves away from the rest.
Yeah, I think they're very aware that they've given that one car a good chance to try and become a problem. So I think they're trying to work a little bit together and get away before they start battling again. Or at least I suspect Togo is as aggressive as he is. He's also an incredibly smart driver. And the number 4 is probably just waiting patiently for the right time before they start to get back into the thick of it.
And I think the more pressure that Togo applies, it's tougher for Tixier to go fast, first of all, unless he's got his mirrors turned off, which is always a trick that you can do. But I'd also watch out for Trengrade, because if they don't pick up the pace, Trengrade was closing in on this top 3 battle.
And that's going to be fun if he gets there, because Trengrade is a fierce fighter. He thrives on being in the thick of battles. So he is going to be on the attack pretty much as soon as he sees the chance. As Jonathan Jordan down here in 19th is fighting with Gaudin for P18, although he's a little slow. And there was a peek from Gary Ho, who's slightly out of position right now, and he's going to overtake him. I think Jordan just let him have that one.
You see Gary Ho go around. I also see Doug Cloud mixed into this battle as well. So this is all for that, pretty much the 20th place position. And we still have, I'm looking, 39 cars. Oh, no, make it 40 cars on the lead lap.
Jason Clapper is also in there. But here's Cam Porter, a little farther down. Hasn't made the same end roads that Jason has. So we once again hop on board with one of our cameras. And like I said, 29th position, that is still Rodriguez in front of him, same as before. Jana Lehman is chasing him from behind currently. Look at the different lines between them. Looks like Cam not as willing to try and take some of that outside curb.
When he just watched Juan Rodriguez get way loose right in front of him, and now he's really applying pressure down the hill. I think this is going to be a great race for Cam. I noticed that sometimes he's a little bit lonely out on track out there. He's got plenty of buddies to play with today.
As they come out of Surtees now, this is where it's so important to get on the throttle. You can see how the climb uphill, and then it's over Pilgrim's Drop as they'll plunge down into Hawthorne here. And yeah, again, a little bit of a late turn in there from Rodriguez, making himself almost look vulnerable for a split second to Cam.
Uh-oh, this is Tobias Roner. Joe, you were mentioning that he had some problems earlier. Well, it looks like he had another spin.
Oh, boy. Oh, or did he get some help? Yep. I think he didn't anticipate that car being that speed through the corner, had to back out of it, and the car was unsettled. Around he goes.
I believe that was the number 11 of Gary Quellen that he was trying to look up the inside there, but doesn't look to be any damage on the car, just kind of a little bit of a broken heart and lost track position.
Sobervella, this is not a driver I think we've seen very much, if at all. I don't recall the name before, but he sits in 13th, so he's handling himself pretty well. Remember, 13th might not sound that impressive, but out of 43 starters, with the number 30 on his car, Eduardo clearly has some good pace.
This is the strength of field race. It's the best of the best, and the thing that I'm noticing about the number 30, Joe, is that a D battery or is this a C battery?
Yeah, taking a little bit of a cue from the Williams team here. Oh, and he's getting awful loose coming out of Sheen. That is not a place you want to lose control of the car. It is fast, and you can tell the barriers are tight to either side.
I think anywhere around this Brands Hatch circuit, if you have a big-time wiggle like that, you are catching your breath. As we check on the number 7 one more time, this is Jack David Spickett. He's got another car right in front of him. That's Gary Quellen that just escaped that little spin that we were highlighting earlier. So JDS only halfway through the race, on pace for a top 10, I think. Oh.
So, off track there, unfortunately, and he'll get it back onto the course. Just a momentary lapse. I don't think he lost too much in that.
No, I'm sorry to jump in there. It's just at the edge of turn number 1. Had that huge moment, was able to catch it. And Joe, this is back up front. I'm noticing really from 6th place on forward, we're already in that lap traffic.
And we're only halfway through the race, so they are going to have a lot to deal with here. Yeah, you can see Sanchez having to go around some very slow cars. That has got to be scary, up and over that blind crest. The number 5 currently outside of the top 5 and chasing the man he was one of the people he was fighting with last season, Jorge Nieva, just in front of him right now.
Coming up to pass Bjorn Ackerman, who's down there in 37th spot. I think that Bjorn was probably hoping for a little bit of a better day today, considering he's leading that F2 Drivers' Championship. But sometimes you just got to shake it off and keep doing laps.
They come up through Druids. Love that Boeing paint scheme that Sanchez has. Ackerman missing a few body parts, it appears, on the car, but is still running along and still doing what he's got to do to keep it going. This is a new camera for me. I have not seen Bjorn Ackerman's view before. The car does look to be a little bit of a handful.
You see the steering wheel, see how it's tilted off to the right side, just canted a little bit, so he's definitely had the damage on the car. Unfortunately, just turning laps in the back of the pack, probably not what Bjorn wants to do.
So flies around the back half of the course now. He's the first car a lap down currently, so probably just trying to collect whatever points he can here today in this single split, and maybe a little bit of safety rating as well after he got involved early in the race. Let's see, next to catch for him is Andrew Ang, about 13 seconds up the road. Here we go. 1/10 of a second behind. His Sada is feeling feisty now. They've dropped Oye, and he's decided it's time to go, and he's going to poke and prod round the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. Doesn't give him anything yet, but that is valuable information, no doubt.
Ixier went defensive that lap. He definitely is feeling the pressure, and even though they have dropped Zemaloa, he is still that white car hanging out about a second and a half back. I'm noticing just maybe a few more turns before they run into the next group of lap traffic, and it will be much thicker.
Oh, unfortunately, we were talking about Sobrevella before as a new name who's doing well, but he's in pit lane, and I don't see him having hit anything recently. I wonder if he just didn't put enough fuel in the car or something.
Possibility. Also, could be the cell phone ringing.
Yeah, that's true. Ooh, there was a big look there coming into the corner, and that does shake Tixier off course. He's going to make a mistake. Togo is now the one that is going to take advantage, and he gets through and is in front. He has the track advantage now with about 10 laps to go, 11 laps to go. And off the corner, he is slow as well. Tixier fights back. He's going to try to come up the outside here into Clark Curve. They're going to go wheel to wheel around the corner, and Togo is slow. Tixier gets it right back.
What a piece of racing between Seb and Togo. Tixier saying, I'm not giving you this lead. As soon as he made a mistake, he wrestled it right back.
And look, Oye is right back on top of them once again. That bright white car is now back in the hunt, and Trangarade has caught up to within a second of them. It could be a 4-car battle just as easily. This thing is kicked up a notch.
Joe, you're literally taking all of my talking points. Yes, Trangarade is right there, and then look what's on the horizon. More lap traffic. What can you ask for? 4 cars battling for the lead in a hectic place.
Rodriguez is going to stay out of the way. There he is on the right side. He'll stay off the racing line. Up next is going to be Andrew Ang. Remember, that's the one that I was mentioning. Ackerman is going to try and chase down. Ang is experienced in this league, though. Cam Porter out of this race for some reason. Looks like we're going to find out why here in a second with the replay.
This was almost deja vu between the Gary. Oh, no, there was a heavy incident in front of Cam. Joe, cars all over the place here.
Ooh, the number 20 is going to get turned and just comes back at the wrong time. He was trying to sneak through, and the hole closed before he could get there. Really unfortunate to see some more fast drivers taken out of this race, unfortunately, as now we look at 11th with Hoya.
Yeah, he's benefiting from that a little bit, and I'm seeing actually quite a few drivers with some big-time drives throughout this race, and you were calling it, we're just past halfway, so there's going to be more attrition rate. There's going to be more incidents as we go along. It's going to be survival.
Yeah, JDS is up 26 right now. He's working on Gary Quellen. Clapper is in 19th. He's up 22. Those are our two biggest movers right now in the field. JDS taking a big look to the inside of Quellen, but Quellen defending late, says no and shuts the door as they go through Druids. In front of them is Tom Holland, but that's a lapped car, so that's not for position. This could play an opportunity, and there's the over-under from JDS. He has the inside now if he breaks late enough, still trying to guard it, and again shuts the door. Quellen aggressive in his defense.
Very aggressive in his defense. He's pretty much covering off every single corner from Jack David Spickett, and looks like he's going to have to try to maybe get a little bit more aggressive. JDS is not going to get the elbows out, but is going to have to find a new way around.
Coming now through Westfield. Very difficult corner, that one. And as they work their way through the series of right-handers, he's staying glued to the gearbox. In fact, it's much faster through Sheen. Look at how close he's getting to that red and white machine, as Jack knows he's going to get a chance at some point. Despite the defense from Gary, this looks a lot more like when, not if.
See what kind of run they get out of the final turn here. It's that sweeping corner, but also provides an opportunity to get on the gas sooner than your opponent. But equal distant run going down into turn number one. Gary Quellen arcs it in, still giving chase as Jack David Spickett as it separated out just a little bit.
So that gives at least a small respite to Quellen. We'll step away from him for a second as we look at Sanchez, still trying to catch up to Nieva. Pair of Spaniards trying to race for a top 5 position in this race. They've lost touch with Trangrade by a pretty decent margin by now. It's almost 4 seconds to the next car.
Gonna have to hope for heavy lap traffic or a mistake, you're right, out of those leaders in order to catch them. And Joe, you mentioned it earlier. The more I look at this number 5 and the Boeing paint scheme, you know, I'm up here in Seattle where Boeing makes airplanes. It's pretty cool.
Very, very technicolor little car that he's got. Different from the old sort of World War II fighter paint scheme he had for a long time, but still a very neat little car. And he's going to try and make it a faster car ahead of Nieva if he can. So far, we haven't seen any good opportunities. He's just kind of riding in the tire tracks.
Oh, and our leader got so close to a lapped car right there as he went by the number 34 of Terry Traumhauser. This battle is going to be coming right up to it here between Jorge and also Xavier. Coming up to 3 lapped cars here in the matter of the next couple corners, Joe.
And I think JDS is finally going to get that position into Druids past Gary Quellen. Looked like a pretty smooth move that he finally executed on that one. As we go to Togo Hisada, who's going to try and see if he can get by that lapped car in time. He does, just barely. The Netscape car, Timothy Porter, pulls out of the way, but it gets sketchy. Oh, he chops off. Timothy just chopped off Oye and slowed him down a ton.
It's what the leaders are going to have to deal with. They haven't been racing the lapped cars. The lapped cars haven't been racing the leaders, so you don't know how each one of these drivers is going to react when you run up on them.
So things suddenly exploding once again, and they pulled away from Oye because of that moment, so they have a chance to battle without having to worry about a third car getting involved, at least for the moment. They put a lap on Sandeep Banerjee. And then up next for them, looks like Doug Cloud is the next to be lapped. So we'll see how quickly they get up to Doug. Doug is, I think, battling for position. No, he's not. Looks like he's 5 seconds behind Harnvey. So I think he should have opportunity to pull out of the way.
You know who I think is having the most fun on the racetrack right now is Togo Hisada. Just is relentless in his assault for the lead. But I was going to mention Trangrade because Zamaloa got held up from that traffic. Well, it really benefited Ove out there, and he is just driving that car with the tail hanging out everywhere.
I mean, that sounds like Ove. That's just the way He loves to race the car. Second most podiums ever in the Grand Prix Legends series on the broadcast races for Ove Trangrade. So he would like to add to that tally, I'm sure, and help him get closer to Mick Claridge, who he's chasing on that record. But he's going to have to go by Oye to take this one away.
Ove versus Oye out there for the third place position. Start another lap here, lap number 20 of 24 at Brands Hatch Circuit. And I think between the lead battle, actually it's separated out a little bit. I think there was a poor run from Togo Hisada out of one of the final corners. And I'm not sure if there's a problem, but look at how much pace he's lost.
Yeah, something seems to be up. Maybe he just got rattled by that moment, and he's having to collect himself, get back in it. Still has more lapped cars to catch up here in a second. Although it looks like, oh, that's actually Hisada in front of him. So he's re-catching up to Hisada as we've got a problem elsewhere on track. Matthew Maudsley coming up to Clark Curve. I think maybe lapping traffic. Let's hope that doesn't become involved in it here. Oh, it does. The 39, gets tangled with him, does a full 360 and catches it. Great move by Maudsley there. That was smooth. Oh, but he's pulling off course. Oh,
yeah,
no.
Unfortunately, I think he had some suspension or steering damage from it and is going to have to take that tow back to pit road.
Oh, that almost looked like a brilliant move on his part, but Tixier was very upset with Doug Cloud there for a moment, wanted him to get out of the way, and I guess he didn't get out of the way quick enough because here comes Togo Hisada, and he's not able to quite make the move. But, man, yeah, Seb was just about pushing Doug Cloud coming out of Sheen Corner.
I can understand the frustration from the leader, but I can also understand the confusion from Doug Cloud as Ove Trangrade actually makes a look down to the inside coming out of turn 2. I can't say enough about how good Zamaloa's race has been. He's hung on to these leaders. He's showing tremendous pace, but I'm still wowed by Trangrade.
Wonder if we could get a replay on Nieva and Sanchez. They just swapped positions after Zabier finally got a mistake out of his countryman and snuck down the inside of Patakill Bend. So that was a long time coming between the two of them, considering how long he had been riding behind that car. But we'll see if we can get that spooled up. But a nice little move from Zabier to get himself back into the top 5 once again. This has been raging since the start, this battle between Seb and Togo, and they're starting to run out of laps. It's going to be 3 to go at the line.
You can get the better run out of the final corner. Both take a very similar line. It is such a tricky racetrack, and especially that final corner. Joe, I don't know which corner around this place throws you for a loop, but there seems to be a couple different ways you can take that final sweeper, and none of them are right whenever I do it.
Same. I was going to say all of them throw me. I cannot get this track right. It is difficult, and I usually don't have a good history here. It always seems to get mistakes out of me, too. Well, Hisada has made a couple mistakes here today, and that may be what winds up costing him the win, considering he started from pole. Can he do anything to try and get that back out of the hands of Seb Tixier?
Well, I don't know what happened behind. We're going to stay right here, but that battle for third has just fallen apart. It is now separated by a couple seconds, and even Togo and Seb, they've separated themselves from Zamaloa in third.
Yeah, it seems like yet more of the lap traffic, maybe a few more mistakes, has set him backwards, at least for the time being. Speaking of the lap traffic, I think they're coming up now on Michael Grissinger is our lead battle. Will they catch him in a good spot? Because Michael is not racing anybody. He could pull off to the side here. No, he's going to stay ahead up through Clark Curve. Could maybe try and duck off to the side. In fact, he's communicating over the radio now that he's going to let them through. Nice gentlemanly thing. Oh, but a mistake instead from Tixier, and that causes a problem for Hisada as he wobbles the car. He's going to catch it back forward, but he hit the wall. How damaged is it after that contact?
We need to go to the onboard view. Oh my goodness, Joe. If Togo Hisada has managed to escape this, I think there's a little bit of damage, but watch this. Full 360 hard impact into the wall, grab a gear, and keep going.
I mean, Seb himself, he went a little too wide, was out in the grass. That caused the checkup, it looks like, and that's what unsettled Togo. Quick hands, back onto the circuit. Thankfully, no one was there to run into him. And yeah, you're right, just on the throttle.
So, if you want to analyze it, these cars are on edge. The front straightaway is curved, okay? They came up on a lapped car. They were both trying to leave room, but with how much the car moves around, just the leader went off, and then you called it, the chain reaction behind.
Zamaloa wasn't close enough to snatch away that second place, and I'm sure he's regretting that now. With all the time that he lost, if he was still within half a second, he'd easily be looking at a P2 here today ahead of Togo trying to play defense. Instead, he's now on the attack.
I just can't believe that Togo Hasada is still in second place. And I mean, we're coming up here to finish this race. This is crazy.
That, I mean, it just takes me back. Oh, now he's made a mistake.
I think it's
damaged.
damaged.
It is damaged. You're right. So Trangarade and Zamaloa managed to get by. So he isn't completely in the clean. But I was going to say that takes me back to the time that he had that monster drift at the Nürburgring and somehow kept it together. Togo is just a master at reacting and saving the car. He's very, very good at dealing with bad situations. As this battle for P2 has now come alive because Oye and Ove are going to give us a show.
Zamaloa got really loose, but he was parked right in the middle of the racetrack. No place for Trangarade to go, and our leader is going to be crossing the line here soon, but this is right behind. I wonder if he can make a move.
He's going to try. If I know Trangarade, he is going to try and see if he can make a move at some point. He'll give it a go. But up ahead of them, Seb Tixier has got just one more corner to go. He's in the midst of some traffic, but he's got plenty of buffer now. He doesn't need to pass them. He's going to manage to make the pass, manage to hold down the fort, and take a win for the first in a long time here. Seb Tixier at the top spot in Brands Hatch.
Zamaloa, you saw it, was a drag race. He hung on to the second place by 0.03 of a second over Ove Trangarade.
I told you he'd make a move. He tried to do it around the outside of Clark Curve. Impressive stuff. And I think Zamaloa has just indicated that he has arrived with that second place today. He'll be one to watch out for later on in the season. JDS, what a classy run from him, coming into the Lotus 49s and getting an 11th place after starting 40th today.
Big time mover. Also see Jason Clapper about to round out and finish his race up 27 spots. So still a lot of cars finally crossing the finish line over here. I think maybe our closest battle still out on track might be Yanni Lehman as they're coming around the final couple corners.
Yep, you can see he's trying to chase Shady Ahmad, but I think he's a little too far back, unfortunately. Only 21 cars going to finish on the lead lap. We said it was going to be a lot of lap traffic, and that really drives it home. Half the field did not complete the full lap distance. That's going to take us to a break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Brands Hatch. Round 2 of the Grand Prix Legends Series sees an incredible finish, and this replay really shows you the major highlights of the end of the race, where Tixier did come away with the win, but this incredible save left everybody breathless when Togo Hisada did a full 360, hit the wall, and kept going. Looks like he did get some damage from it, from what we can tell, but he was able to finish the race in fourth, which makes it all the more impressive that he dragged that thing home in the end. Tixier did take the win. Samaloa is now got himself a podium finish in this series, with Ove Traingrade collecting another podium and helping boost that stat score. Togo Hisada, as I mentioned, fourth, was followed by Xavier Sanchez, P5. He beat Nieva, who he battled with for pretty much the whole race. John Olsen was seventh, and Marco Salgado, P8. Then it's Leo Sequero in the ninth position, as Daniel Hoya rounds out your top 10.
Then in 11th place, we do have our biggest mover of the day. That is Jack David Spickett, up 29 positions. Started in 40th, finishes 11th. Had a hard battle with Gary Quellen in that number 11, finishing 12th. Tobias Rohner, after a couple spins, finishes in 13th. Jason Clapper, another impressive drive, up 27 positions himself to finish 14th. Emerson Gaudin in 15th. Gary Ho finishes 16th. Ray Oliver in 17th. Jonathan Jordan in 18th. Shady Ahmad 19th. And Yanni Lehman in 20th.
21st goes to Andre Bruno, last one on the lead lap. Michael Grissinger, 22nd, and Doug Cloud, 23rd. Tobias Harnvey finished P24 today, followed by Sandeep Banerjee, who we saw have a few issues out on track. Then you've got Timothy Porter in 26, and Eduardo Sobravella, unfortunately, was not able to stay up there in 13th. He fell to 27th in the end with a mysterious extra pit stop. Terry Trommerhauser was 28th, and Andrew Eng 29th. Bjorn Ackerman does not collect good points today towards that F2 championship. He was 30th.
Still got more cars down here that did take the checkered flag. Jan Rodriguez, only one lap down. Then you got Jan Steven in 33rd place. I'm sorry, Juan Rodriguez. I was reading two different names there. And then Jan Steven. Tom Holland is going to finish 34th, 2 laps down. Matthew Maudsley in 35th. Unfortunately, Laust Olsen did not finish. Cam Porter with an incident back there in 32nd and or 36th. And unfortunately, everybody else from here on down, multiple laps down.
And that will take us to our winner, Seb Tixier, who is back up on top once again. Seb, congratulations on the win. It looked like you and Togo had a pretty good time up front, though.
Yes, it was tough. When I was behind, I think I was a bit faster, and when I was in front, he was a bit faster. The hunter is always faster, it seems.
Well, and you both had your share of mistakes, but talk about that moment towards the end, coming up on the lapped car. Have you had a chance to go back and see what happened to Togo behind you?
Yeah, after... Is it Druid turn 2? I saw in my relative he was far, and after the race I watched the replay. I was trying to not avoid the back marker, but I was trying to accelerate maximum possible, and I was understeering, and I went into the grass, and then I violently moved my steering to the right to go back to the track, and when I crossed Togo, I see on the replay, and he managed to avoid me, but he spins. So sorry, Togo, for that. Go Menasai.
I'm sure he appreciates the apology. He doesn't seem too mad, though. He seems to have had fun. Does this mean that we're going to be seeing you qualifying a lot again? Or are you back to trying to go for wins instead of coming from the back?
Yeah, it was just last season when I wanted to have fun, except the few track where I wanted to have a win, like Road America, because it's a track I really like. And I think Detroit also, you don't want to start from the back of Detroit. So this is my new icon for like serious esport. And I will try to do my best on this championships this season.
Well, it's looking like it's going to be fun seeing you and Togo racing against one another. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Sebastian Tixier, who took the win today, starting from second on the grid. I believe the man who finished fourth is waiting in the wings as Joey is going to talk to Togo about his side of that crazy moment.
Togo Hisada, I know that you finished fourth here. Probably not the finish that you wanted, but holy smokes, what a save there with a couple laps to go. Talk us through that.
Yeah, at first, that was a racing incident, so I'm not, it is, the nature of the racing, so I just trying to avoid the self, and just unfortunately on the bumps on the straight, so I lost control, but it is really fun battle, I mistaken, and he did mistake it, and the really nice battle between the whole race. So really happy to race with Seb again this season, and really fun race, I think.
I love hearing your attitude right now. It sounds like despite that little mistake on the racetrack, you and Tixier had a ton of fun out there. Did you notice the new name of Oyer Zamaloa behind you guys starting to hunt you down?
Yes, I did another official race in this morning in Japan, so the Friday in America, I think, and he's in there, and he's really fast in qualifying and the racing, so he's really fast, and it might be a really good season for us.
Now, Togo, I know that F1 is actually in Japan this weekend. If I recall, you're pretty close to that Suzuka racetrack. Are you planning to go out there at all this weekend?
I love to, but tickets it's too expensive for my. I'm still the underage person. So really difficult to watch in the actual the Suzuka track, but really looking forward to watch the races tomorrow.
Well, I'll be watching them on TV along with you there. Congratulations on the fourth place finish. Is there anybody that you want to say hi to?
My family and my friends, actual friends, their friends is watching this race somehow. So it's really embarrassing to spin the last 3 laps, but really fun racing. So thank you for these guys.
You provided some amazing racing action. Doesn't matter if it's here or wherever we race. Today, finishing fourth place, that was Togo Hisada.
And that's going to take us to Cam Porter, who wound up 36 today, so a little bit down the order, but Cam's another one who usually has a good attitude about things. Cam, we could see here in the replay, the damaged car had to wind up in pit lane there. Talk to us about the accident and how quickly it looked like it happened.
Well, a couple of fellows were fighting in front of me, of course, and I was having a good battle with Yanni Lehman, and at first I was like, oh, why didn't you hold your brakes? Because the car that was on the right side sort of came back onto the racing line. But at the same time, he was the victim, and I probably would have tried to do the same thing and trying to gather the car back up. So I'm not feeling too bad about that. Just unfortunate luck. I was doing really well, I felt. I had a bad qualifying and was coming up through the order, and I felt like I could have had a top 20 today since Ian finished 20th, and I was ahead of him when the accident happened.
Yeah, before that accident, you're talking about trying to climb up through the order. Looked like there was quite a line of cars starting to form. Did it prove pretty difficult to try and overtake today? Yeah,
I was just trying to stay safe. Most of my spots were made up by attrition. A couple of guys spun in front of me, and that's basically how I was making up spots. But I was having fun out there, and just trying to keep the car under me. Just lousy luck today,
Well, is that going to prove good practice for Barber? It's another track where passing's known to be a little bit difficult, or you think you can get that qualifying under control?
Well, hopefully I can do better at Barber. I enjoy that track. Brands Hatch is not one of my better tracks. And looking forward to Barber, though.
Awesome. I've learned not to ask you if you're looking forward to it, because I know your answer about every road course. But congratulations on at least having fun out there, and can't wait to see you out in Alabama.
Thanks, Joe. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. That was Cam Porter, as I said. Unfortunately, 36, but still high spirits for him as always, which is going to wrap us up. So a big thank you to the whole Grand Prix Legends community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And to the team today, Bobber, Joey, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. But don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Like we said, Barber is up next Saturday, September 30th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. But be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here, because up next, Camel is going to Hockenheim, and it's the outer layout. So it's going to be a fast one. That'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.